on older legacy HUMS systems that Todd was talking about, it's going to tell you it's trending, but it's not going to tell you trending how bad and when that thing is going to get really bad. We're able to tell you when it's going to become unpredictable, and that may be anywhere from 50 to 100 hours from now. And for operations that may only fly a couple hundred hours a year, that may be several months away. And so from that aspect in your pre-flight, you'll be able to see exactly the deepest level Carfax that you've ever done from every single flight that's ever happened. And so as one pilot is passing over to the other pilot, they should be extremely confident to the health of the aircraft, not only from all the gears, shafts, bearings, and so forth, but also from what did that pilot do? Did they have any exceedances going on? And the last part is the rotor track and balance. How smooth is this aircraft going to be when I come in? Because it's doing automatic acquisitions on every single flight, measuring the rotor track and balance. And so going in that, hey, if it's a little shaky, this is where it's at, and my maintainer already knows what I need to do in order to get it back to that smooth level that I expect.
What an advance in the way we've always done things again, I mean, to be able to, a lot of times it's seat of the pants, you're coming in and telling the mechanic that like, hey, I've got a 1-to-1 vibration or whatever you have. And for the aircraft to be able to tell you this data just up front, it's going to reduce the amount of, I know we've done it where, at the police department where it's like, well, it's coming in for an inspection next week. We'll get to it, where now we can just do it in virtually real time. I mean, you come back from a flight and you've got that data, they can go out and make an adjustment and, get it, tracked and balanced, very quickly. So I think again, it's just the cost benefit of having this system is kind of a no-brainer, really, when you start thinking about it with out of service time. And granted, public safety, we're not out making money with these aircraft, but at the same time, for any customer, I think that might be listening to this, the cost savings that you're going to actualize by having a system that's predicting this stuff ahead of time, reducing your out of service time, is huge. And especially for, like you said, a one aircraft operator, like you don't have, the ability to have this, you don't want this out of service time, nobody wants it for any, no matter how many aircraft you have in the fleet, but especially for a 1-2 ship, operation. And we've seen it before, in Riverside, when we got down to having 2 helicopters and one's having a maintenance issue that we're still trying to troubleshoot and resolve. That aircraft's just sitting there, and now you're saddling everything onto one aircraft. So this is a no-brainer, really.
And you're wearing out your mechanics.
Yeah. I think about the flights where, you had some discrepancy. It made you uncomfortable. You come back and land and you call the mechanic and like, it's after hours because you're working nights. Yeah. You call the mechanic like, hey, this is what I just experienced. And he's like, and he's got to come up with a decision. Like, should you ground it or is this normal? Yep. Well, now with this technology, he can log into your guys' system and kind of do some evaluation, from a remote location, which is really cool.
From his own bed, trying not to wake his wife up with looking at his iPhone at that point in time. But I mean, that's literally the capability that he has, is anywhere, anytime, instantly, as long as you're in cell phone connection range, which most public safety operators are going to be. It's going to be there as soon as it's landing or in flight idle aspect. So, I mean, that kind of capability of fear of missing out, that they're so worried about fear of missing out of information. Well, everybody in your organization who needs to know can know instantly. Yeah. And that's a pretty powerful thing. And so some of our operators that we do outside the public safety area of utility that end up going into public safety because of firefighting contracts. I mean, their aircraft are out firefighting through Oregon, Washington, California, all over the place. The DOM isn't going to be at all those different bases, right? Yep. The DOM is going to be in one central point, and through this overall dashboard, he can see the health of every single one of those aircraft and be ready if something's going, something's going to happen on a maintenance action on one, start looking at pre-positioning either those parts or replacement aircraft ahead of time, because the fire is not going to stop just because you're grounded. right?
Yeah.
Even like, EMS, thinking about EMS, I mean, we've got, all these bases all over the place, and we have a mechanic assigned to each base. But a lot of times, like, our mechanic will get pulled to go help with an inspection at another base, and being able to just, again, have that data, right there on his phone and be able to look and be like, okay, hey, is my aircraft at my base, everything's looking good. I can go and work on this over here, and, most likely not have to address any issues over there. But again, you start seeing something trending, and it's like, okay, again, we can order the parts for it. We can, start addressing it so that it doesn't become an out of service, AOG situation. That's huge. I mean, for, like you said, for any operator, that's huge. That's money right there.
Yeah, just the AOG shipping is ridiculous. Yep. And then let's say, then you've got, you got to get it out of the desert or wherever it landed. And then you got to get another gearbox to the desert. It's all of those extras that just get rolled up into what's acceptable because you have to stay in service. So all of those other numbers just become, over time, acceptable numbers to make it work, when you could be eliminating some of those numbers. You're not going to eliminate all of them. There's going to be out of service events that are sudden and unpredictable, but the majority of them can be seen a long ways away. And the better visibility you got, it's funny you mentioned in air medical, and I was in that business for a while, and the day you need a tool, it's never at the base that the aircraft is that you need it. Just shipping tools and the track and balance gear would sometimes just disappear. And you're like, I don't know, when was the last time we used it? And it would take 2 days just to do the, where's Waldo, to find out, what box it's in and where it is. The fact that you can land, the mechanic can read the solution to the track and balance problem. He goes out, he makes either a tab bend or a flat change on the pitch change, whatever it is. And the next time that the aircraft flies in a normal operational flight, it takes the next data point and confirms what he was doing. You never bring a pilot back on to do it. You never get the gear out, take the aircraft out of service. You don't wear your mechanics out. You don't, you just don't have all this process that everybody has over time just become accustomed to. That's the way it is. That's the way we've always done it. It's the way it's going to be.
My favorite term.
Talking about the cost that you were talking about, Jeff and Todd, the good Hangar Z podcast friend, Terry Mauchi, was just talking with me the other day on this. The fact is, for a lot of public safety agencies, the aviation department is the biggest line item in their budget, right?
Yep.
Significantly above and beyond. But the fact is, like, if you chip out an engine, right, that blown engine may cost your entire budget for the rest of the year, right? Or that extraction for the middle of the desert may blow your budget. And city councils, Lord knows, like, we're public safety agencies are under enough pressure as it is from a political standpoint. Now that you start overrunning your budgets, there's implications to that of budgets for next year. And it may not necessarily even be on the aircraft or the components or the replacements. It goes into things as core as the training budget, right? Mm-hmm. That, if you're overrunning, things are going to have to get cut and that reallocated from other places. And so, this really comes down to how you optimize your maintenance, which is really going to drastically change how you do your safety operations. And I'm not even getting into your FOQA programs or SMS programs and that kind of stuff. I mean, Todd, I'm sure could talk about how this stuff really optimizes that. But I mean, it really helps you from that unpredictable aspect of the not knowing,